Hello everyone, welcome to the first PUC economics class. I am Suma, economics lecturer, Gopalswamy Independent PU College. In today's session, let us discuss about the 8th lesson of Indian economic development, that is infrastructure. This lesson comes under the challenges faced by Indian economy. The word infrastructure is first used in 1875 in French and in 1887 in English. The word infrastructure means the installations that support the basis for any operation system. So, it is the key factor in the development of any economy. Infrastructure forms the basic element for the economic development as well as growth of an economy. So, let us see what is infrastructure. The definition of infrastructure is as follows. That is, it is a network of physical facilities and public services which form a base for economic and social development of any economy. With this definition, you can understand the importance of infrastructure. It uses the word of a network of physical facilities and public services which form a base for economic and social development of any economy. Every economy around the world intends to create a very strong base for economic and social welfare of that country. So, every economy is concerned about the each and every resident's social well-being as well as economic growth. In turn, this is going to help the economy only to improve its performance in the form of progressive GDP. So, infrastructure is a very important element. In Kannada we call this as ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಸೌಕರ್ಯಗಳು. ಈ ಮೂಲ ಸೌಕರ್ಯಗಳಿಂದ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಯನ್ನು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೂಲ ಸೌಕರ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಆದ್ಯತೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಸ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದರ ಮೂಲಕ ದೇಶದ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಯನ್ನು ಕಾಣಬಹುದಾಗಿದೆ. I'll give you the example for infrastructure. The transportation sector, monetary sector, health facilities, power sector, communication sector as well as housing. So, all these are the examples for infrastructure. You all know that you cannot imagine the lives of the citizens without the assistance of transportation. So, for this we need to have good roadways, railways, airways as well as the waterways facilities. And monetary infrastructure includes the banking sector, insurance sector and also all the other types of financial institutions which are very much required for the development of the society. The third one is health facilities. Hygienic awareness as well as good health and sanitation facilities contribute a lot to the progress of any economy. The next one is power sector. This is the integral part of infrastructure. Power is a very important infrastructure that is required for the economical development because power is the one which accelerates the growth in terms of assistance to industries for the production sector as well as to various other service generating activities. So, an uninterrupted power supply will result in a very good economic growth. The next one is communication sector. You all know that today we are all communicating with each other because of the communication facilities. Since this pandemic is existing now, we are unable to meet each other personally, so that all the students around the world are being connected through online because of this advanced communication facilities, and your studies are being done through this communication facilities only. And the last one is housing sector. That is, there are two types of housing, urban housing as well as rural housing. So, urban housing sector is the construction of apartments and vertical buildings to help the human settlement and who are there, who are dependent on that particular urban area for their livelihood. And in the rural housing, lots of rural housing projects are being undertaken by the government to support the rural population because 70% of the population of our country stays in the rural areas, and government gives a greater importance to the rural housing projects also. The importance of infrastructure is incredible to the development of any economy. As you all know, the states of Punjab, Haryana and Himachal Pradesh are leading in the areas of agricultural production and horticultural production. This is because of the infrastructure related to agriculture and horticultural sectors are very much improved in those areas. When you come to Kerala, it is known as God's own country, and that is very popular for the medical tourism. People around the world visit to Kerala to have good health, because this is because Kerala is known for its social and infrastructure like good hygienic facilities and sanitation facilities. It is the most literate state of our country, and people are having lots of awareness related to the social infrastructure. And you come to Maharashtra, you can see the transportation sector is very active, because it is known as the financial capital of our country, and it is connected by almost all the areas. Activities related to trade and commerce are very popular in the area of Maharashtra. Likewise, we come to Karnataka. In most of the parts of Karnataka, we can find very good communication facilities. Bangalore is known as the Silicon City of India. So, this is due to the advanced facilities related to the communication sector is available in this area. So, almost all the states are known for different types of infrastructural facilities, and with the help of those infrastructural facilities, their economic performance is very well. So, now let us move towards the types of infrastructure. There are two important types of infrastructure. The first one is economic infrastructure, and the second one is social infrastructure. The economic infrastructure accelerates growth. It is concentrated on the economical growth and development, because a country can perform well if its economy is stable. So, the second one is social infrastructure. That is, the social infrastructure concentrates more on the acceleration of human resource development, because even though we have lots of natural resources, they can be converted into a productive activity with the help of the qualified and skilled human laborers, and they are called as the human resources. A child can convert itself into human capital with additional education, knowledge and skill along with some training. So, with all these, a human can convert himself into human resource, and for that we need lots of social infrastructures like health and sanitation facilities, hygienic health practices, as well as pure and clean drinking water supply, and education, housing, all these are required as the elements of social infrastructure for the development of an economy. So, therefore, we need both economic infrastructure and social infrastructure, and there should be a balance between these two so that the economy can find some progress in it. Now, let us move towards the importance of infrastructure. Infrastructure is of greater importance, and today 34% of India's GDP is being spent on the infrastructure. It is very less when compared to the money spent by China. China is spending 46% of income out of its GDP on infrastructure. Today, India is emerging as the second largest economy of Asia and the third largest economy of the world. It is concentrating more on the infrastructural development, so that many multinational companies have come to India and established their branches and production activities in this country. This is due to the development of the infrastructural facilities. Indian government is concentrating more and more, and in the near future it is going to invest still more amount on the infrastructure, so that the foreign institutional investors and foreign direct investment can come to our country, so that it can generate more amount of income, as well as it can provide more employment opportunity to the people of India. So, therefore, infrastructural development is very, very important. So, now let us see one by one about the significance of infrastructure. That is, the first one is it promotes productivity. If you have the improper infrastructure, production sector also is very active, because you all know that the sum total of the goods and goods produced and the services generated over a period of year is known as the GDP. A country's income is measured with the growth of its GDP, as well as it is ranked among the other countries because of the progress that it finds in the gross domestic product. So, a country with proper infrastructural facilities can promote productivity, so that we are not supposed to dependent on other countries for the goods. So, our exports will increase and the imports will reduce, and this is a very good progress, because for the imports we are paying lots of money and most of our income is being spent on imports. If we indigenously produce all these goods with the help of proper infrastructural facilities, our goal of achieving Atmanirbhar Bharat can be attained. Second one is attracts investment. A very good infrastructural facility attracts investment from around the world. Today we are finding lots of NRIs are interested, non-resident Indians are interested in investing in Indian projects and on industries. This is because of the development of the bridges on the sea and the flyovers in almost all the metro cities, and even the metro rail service has been introduced in our country, and all these are very easily accessible by the foreign countries also. Therefore, only many of the foreign investors are interested in investing in the Indian industries. The third one is it generates linkages in production. It is a very important assistance that is provided through infrastructure. If in any of the remote area, if one industry is established, then with the help of the byproducts of that industry's product, many auxiliary industries will be establishing around that area, so that the growth of that particular area will also happen, and also the employment opportunity will be more for the people residing in the nearby locality. So, therefore, it provides a linkage. A main product will help the other auxiliary industries to produce other type of goods using the byproducts of the main industry, and this is the way how urbanization is happening around our country. So, therefore, if the number of industries which are into the productive activities increase, then naturally number of the small scale industries that emerge around that area will also increase, so that it generates income as well as it creates employment opportunities too. The next one is it enhances the size of market. Infrastructure facilities today are being connecting everywhere, because you all know that transportation is known as the nervous system of an economy, because the roadways are connected from around the country from one place to another place, and because of this the transportation of goods from one area to another area is made possible. Today everywhere you are finding the 6-lane projects, 8-lane projects, and we are having the golden quadrilateral project also. So, it connects all the 4 directions, and everywhere we are finding the connectivity is done through the construction of ring roads. So, all these are attributed to the infrastructural progress only. It enhances the size of market. Whatever we produce in one area, India can reach another country within 1 or 2 days, within 24 hours, because of the ultra modern infrastructural facilities. Our roadways are very good, and they are contributing a lot to the expansion of our market. So, today India, as it is having the aim of Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is self-sustenant Bharat, that is it doesn't want to get anything from outside, and as it wants everyone to contribute either economically or through the productive sector or the service sector to the development of the country, the government of India, to assist this infrastructural facilities are being improving in a very rapid scale. The next one is it facilitates the BPOs and KPOs. What is this BPO? BPO is business process outsourcing. That is outsourcing the contracts of business to other countries and other companies which are settled in any part of the world, and KPOs are knowledge process outsourcing. Here, human brain, which is capable of performing all the activities with additional skill, knowledge and training, is being exchanged and it is being purchased by different types of countries. So therefore, the business process outsourcing in India is known as call centers. If you go to any of the metro cities, you can see many of the multinational companies have established their call centers or the business process outsourcing centers, and they are selling their products in this country also, and the customer service is also being provided through this business process outsourcing. The next one is it induces FDI. FDI is nothing but foreign direct investment. So many of the foreign investors are willing to invest in the Indian industries because India is the upcoming economy and it is emerging itself as the second largest economy, and therefore it is worthy to invest in the Indian industries. Lots of foreign investment is being flowing to our country, so that it is due to the development of infrastructural facilities only. This is all made possible because we have opened up ourselves as open economy after we adopted the new economic policy in the year 1991, because at that time we accepted the contracts of liberalization, privatization and globalization, and because of this globalization only we are doing very well today, and lots of technical know-how is being exchanged, and lots of knowledge are being interchanged in the areas related to the agricultural activities as well as the industrial activities. Lots of technologically advanced machineries are being entering into our market, and they are substituting the human labor, and whatever a person can do within one day can be done within 10 minutes by one machinery. This is the change that we can see because of the acceptance of globalization. The next one is accelerates industrial and agricultural development. A good and proper infrastructural facilities accelerate the agricultural as well as industrial development. As I said, Indian people, 75% of Indian population are either directly or indirectly dependent on the agricultural activities. As we are an agrarian country, we have to support the farming activities. So with the proper infrastructural facilities, the farming equipments, through the technological innovation, lots of progress is going on in the agricultural sector, but it is not according to the proportion of the population that is in our country. So therefore, there is a low productivity in the area of agricultural sector because many of the farmers belong to poor category and they cannot afford the advanced machineries, and farmers are dependent on the monsoon rains, and monsoon always gambles over the life of Indian farmers. So therefore, they need to be supported more with the help of the assistance of additional loans from the banks, so that they can have their own borewells in their lands as well as they can do the agricultural activities. So government is providing all kinds of support to the agricultural sector and industrial sector through its infrastructural facilities. Today, every remote corner of our country is being connected with the project of Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. This each and every village is being connected with the main road or with the nearby urban area, so that all the farm products that they are cultivating in that village can reach the market immediately soon after harvesting. So all these are attributed to the development of infrastructural facilities only. The next one is clean water supply and sanitation facilities reduce morbidity. What is meant by morbidity? Morbidity is nothing but the proneness to ill because of lots of contaminated water. The waterborne diseases are being generated, and because of the contamination of the air, airborne diseases are being generated, and people are suffering because of these all waterborne and airborne diseases, and lots of pollution is being happening, like industrial wastes are creating the water pollution, air pollution and noise pollution, and these are all harmful for the health of the individual. So therefore, clean water supply, because of the impure water only, lots of infant mortality is happening in our country. So clean water supply and good sanitation facilities reduce the morbidity, because still in India we are having the maternal mortality rate and the infant mortality rate growing actively. So we should curb this, and for this the National Health Mission has accepted 2 projects, but still like Janani Suraksha Yojana as well as Janani Shishu Suraksha Yojana, in spite of government's efforts also, because of the lack of the hygienic practices in the rural areas, lots of infant mortality is happening. So now let us see about the challenges that the government of India is facing in bringing up the economy of our country with infrastructural facilities. The very first challenge is rapid growth of population. You all know that population is the biggest threat for the development of our economy. It is very difficult for a country with such a huge population to find development in terms of economy, with lots of problems related to the population. India being the second largest populated country in the world, even then also the lack of awareness, education and underdevelopment is pulling the legs of the economical and social growth of our country. So this is the biggest challenge. All our 5-year plans have concentrated about this only, because after independence we did not immediately start the development of infrastructure, because during that time the first few 5-year plans concentrated on the agricultural sector as well as the import subsidization concepts. So they ignored the concepts of infrastructure, and by then the awareness was created in the 5-year plans related to the infrastructure. Our population has multiplied, and to this population it is very difficult for any government to give proper infrastructural facilities. Lots of power generation activities are being undertaken now of late after 60-70 years of our independence, and therefore still in many of the rural areas the rural folk are using crop residues and cow dungs for cooking. So this is the major cause for the slow growth of economic progress in our country. So the next one is illiteracy. There are lots of problems which are surrounding, which are related to this illiteracy. People still don't have awareness of having education. The basic education is not seen in most of the parts of our country, and you can see the people who are not even able to put their own signature is also still there in our country. This is because of the lack of awareness and conservative society, and India being a male dominated society which didn't give any chance for female sector to go for education, and most of the higher education is not being permitted to female sectors of our country in most of the parts. So therefore this illiteracy is leading to lack of awareness, and this lack of awareness related to the hygienic practices, health and sanitation facilities, education and the ventures that are available for the development of their personal growth is not known to them. This is the major challenge for Indian economy to overcome. The next one is unawareness. Most of the parts of the people of our country are not knowing about what is happening around them. So this is because of the unawareness that they have related to the happenings around their society. So lots of awareness is being given by the social medias, mass medias as well as the Doordarshan and All India Radio. In spite of this also, larger section of our country are unaware about the developments that are happening, and they are worried about their future only without knowing the opportunities that are available to them. So these two are the very important challenges faced by the Indian economy. The next one is lack of community hygiene practices. You all know that today we are all living amidst the problem of the corona pandemic. Many of the people have lost their lives due to this corona. There is a greater lack of community hygienic practices. Most of the population in our country are lacking with the knowledge of personal hygiene and ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ಹೈಜೀನ್. ಅವರ ಒಂದು ವೈಯಕ್ತಿಕ ಆರೋಗ್ಯದ ಸ್ವಚ್ಛತೆ ಹಾಗೂ ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಒಂದು ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಸ್ವಚ್ಛತೆಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಜನರಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಅರಿವು ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರೋ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಕಾಯಿಲೆಗಳು ಕಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಿಂದ ನಾವು ಪ್ಲೇಗ್, ಪೋಲಿಯೋ ಕಾಯಿಲೆಯನ್ನು ಹೊರದೂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಆದರೆ ಮಲೇರಿಯಾ ಇನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ಕೆಲವು ಭಾಗಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಮತ್ತು ಡಯೇರಿಯಾ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. The two important causes for the infant mortality is again malaria and diarrhea. This is all due to the lack of hygienic practices, community hygienic practices. The proper underground water supply is not being operated in most of the parts of our country, and there is the stagnation of water and the contaminated water. The proper sewage facilities are also not being adopted in most of the parts of our country, and all these are leading to the different types of ailments. So therefore the morbidity rate is very high in our country. The next one is pollution. This is again a very important problem that India is facing, because in the areas which are industrially very active, for example, if you go to the areas nearer to Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi, you can see that there is a greater amount of air pollution because of the carbon effluents that are released out of the industrial activities around that area. The oxygen that is present in the air is less, and therefore people are suffering from different types of ailments, and their lungs are being affected with this, and many of they are finding asthmatic illness. Therefore in our country, the government of India took up the Clean Ganga project. The river Ganga is being polluted every day with lots of garbages, and the dead human bodies are floating. The government of India has taken up this project with a heavy investment, and today almost and this work is in progress. Every river is being polluted in the name of the tradition. People don't know how to manage the nature. Therefore today the pandemic is existing everywhere, and the mutation of this virus is also being happening, which is causing additional types of ailments. The next one is women safety. It is a very important project. Everywhere you can see that there is an exploitation of women, and domestic violence is very active in our country, as well as community violence is also there. Highway traffic is provided by the government of India to support the women's safety and to ensure the well-beingness of the women. In spite of that, due to lots of different types of reasons, women are being assaulted physically and mentally, and they are being put in suppression. This is again due to the economic and social backwardness of women. Therefore infrastructural facilities related to the social awareness is very important, because 50% of the women constitute the total population, and if they are not treated well, it results in the slow economic growth. You all know that already there is a greater disproportion. For every 1000 males, we have only 914 females. This is an alarming time for us to be aware about this, because lots of female feticide is happening, and the families in most of the parts of our country, particularly in the rural area, are thinking that a girl child is a burden to the family, and therefore before it is allowed to come to this earth only, at the pregnancy time only, when it is traced that the female child is there, and therefore it is being killed, and there lots of abortions are being happening, and this is resulting in both the increase in the mental mortality rate as well as the increase in the infant mortality rate also. So all these are contributing a lot to the in the top place in a near future, because people are suffering from the lack of knowledge out of in all these areas. It is a biggest problem and challenge for the economy. As the economy of any country rises, the composition of the infrastructural demand also changes. The agricultural income shrinks. Today, the contribution of agricultural sector to our GDP is being replaced by the transportation sector. So, since the economy is increasing in terms of infrastructural facilities, there is a greater shrink in the agricultural income. Agricultural income is shrinking in these days. The second effect that because of the development of structural facility the government is facing is, you all know that today out of all these three sectors of economy, the primary sector, secondary sector as well as the tertiary sector, that is the service sector is contributing a lot to the development of our economy. It is contributing to the 49% of the GDP, and it is contributing a lot to the development of the GDP of our economy, and India cannot imagine the development of economy without the assistance of this service sector. Again, as there is a rise in the economy with the infrastructural facilities, there is the basic consumption demands of our economy is met with. There are lots of activities which are related to the production of the final goods, and these are all consumed by the households, and all the basic demands of consumption are met with. The government of India with its 6,835 projects with a huge investment of 111 crore is planning to accelerate the economic growth in a faster way, and therefore the government of India is having multiple number of projects. It is planning to supply the LPG gas around our country, so that it is also being supplied like water supply, so that all these are contributing to the economical development of our country only, with the different types of targets and goals within them. All these projects are already launched and they are active towards leading the country into the economical development. So at last I wish to say that all these development related to the infrastructure as well as the economy are attributed to our late Prime Minister Shri P.V. Narasimha Rao. During his tenure only we accepted the open economy after signing the contract of new economic policy in the year 1991, and we adopted the formulas of liberalization, privatization and globalization, and he took a very serious measure and he attracted the global community towards India in terms of foreign investment, and Indian infrastructural facilities that we are seeing today are all being contributed by the visionary steps of our late Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao only. So for that only, at his tenure, during his period, he was known as partner in vigorous national reconstruction. PVNR means P.V. Narasimha Rao, who is a partner in vigorous national reconstruction, because you all know at the time of 1990 we were very much collapsed in terms of economy, and after that only we adopted the new economic policy in the year 1991, and our development of economy started growing with the being opening up ourselves to the global fraternity. Today all these are being undertaken, and in India, near future India is going to perform very well in terms of the economical development. With this, I conclude this session. In our next session, let us discuss about other topics of the same lesson. Thank you.